This might seem like a bit of a random video, but I just don't listen to a lot of pop music in general, so I thought that I wanted to check out this Shawn Mendes album, which I don't really know much about. Like, personally, I don't really listen to a lot of pop music out of choice, I guess, and partly because of this idea that everything just sounds the same and has no meaning and all this stuff, which is something common, I guess, for many people who are into music, but I wanted to give it a shot because I want to be open to music. I want to be open to all kinds of music, even those that I don't really think I will like. So I checked this Shawn Mendes album out. It's called, self-titled, and again, I don't know much about him apart from whenever he gets name dropped by Kevin Abstract on a Brockhampton song or something. Apparently, Kevin Abstract's a big fan and a big crush. Is Shawn Mendes is his crush or something, and I'm sure he is the same for many people around the world. And it seems like his target audience is mostly young teens, preteens, mostly women, mostly young girls. So I went into this album expecting this kind of music, and when I listened to it, I was pleasantly surprised. I think I did enjoy much of it, and I think it comes from this feeling in which I don't really think about often when I listen to music, or at least when I think about pop music, I don't think about this often, but pop music is so intricately, masterfully mixed. Like the mastering and mixing of the songs sounds so perfect in a way that I guess for some you can even argue, sorry, that's the thunder. You can argue it's a little too perfect. It feels too unnatural, unreal, artificial to some degree, but it just sounds very good, very well mixed. When you hear it in a good speakers, good headphones, it just sounds so crisp in a way that you don't normally hear in other types of music, and maybe has something to do with the technology or the resources they are able to put into these pop albums. Maybe they just have more money in them, but it's the you have to really give it up to the engineers and producers who are able to create that very crisp quality sound. When I checked when the first song came up, In My Blood, from what I know, I think it might be one of the singles, if not the lead single of the album, and it tells a story of someone who's insecure and anxious and trying to find ways in which to cope. I don't necessarily know much about Shawn Mendes, but I wouldn't put it out of my mind that he's one of these people, one of these people who feels this way, and definitely also, not to be cynical about it, but there's also a big market for the depressed and anxious around the world, and especially in the younger generation. So I wouldn't be surprised why that was a popular hit for him. But yeah, I'm sure he's also feeling some of this stuff as well, despite his fame and popularity. From what I understand, he was a Vine star who I assume posted clips of himself singing, which is why he has 3 albums right now, and he just turned 19. So he's a big star. In My Blood is quite good, I think. I mean, I don't want to put good and bad again with these kinds of music, but I did enjoy the song. It's not my type of song normally, but it sounds very crisp, and I think I really enjoyed the production quality in all of these songs. The song Nervous reminds me of the song Nervous and the song Particular Taste both remind me of Selena Gomez, for example. I don't really know. I don't really listen to Selena Gomez, but one of her songs is sampled to Talking Heads, Psycho Killer. I think I forgot what the name of the Selena Gomez song. One of his songs samples that, and it reminded me of, I think, Particular Taste and one of those Nervous and Particular Taste. One of those 2 songs reminded me of other Selena Gomez songs. Oops, sorry. And Lost in Japan was also good. I mean, when you hear it, it's a lot of the songs remind me of other people, which is, I guess, is something you can argue is just pop music in general takes from other things, and because it's a very structured in a way that you have, pop song structures are so structured. So I don't want to sound redundant, but pop song structures is an art. It is something that it gets repeated over and over again, and has been since the early 20th century. At least from what I don't, it probably happened before that, but the pop song structure went into popularity, I guess, with the radio, and these types of songs, verse, chorus, verse, is what makes pop music pop, in my eyes. But you can also argue that almost every other song from different genres follow the pop song structure, but I think it's so perfectly encapsulated in popular music right now, especially with these Shawn Mendes songs with the catchy hooks, catchy choruses with other verses as well. I'm sounding very inarticulate right now. I'm sorry, but it's very similar to how when you have good stories, they like to harken it back to Joseph Campbell's The Hero, the story structure in a way, the hero's journey of sorts, and you get that in all these blockbusters and hit movies to some degree in different extents, and it's the same thing with the pop song structure. It's so just it is so happens to just fit into the natural mold of what people seem to be enjoying, at least what that's what people think. And it has probably been perfected by the Swedes, with, well, I could keep going on about this. Swedish producers in pop are incredible. Shawn Mendes album, a lot of his songs sound like songs from other artists, but they all sound incredibly well mixed and mastered, and it just sounds good to the ear, despite whatever you think about the lyrics, which are kind of basic to some degree, but they are universal in that way, and that's why people love this stuff. I think that there's an issue you can probably throw into this issue of whether or not Shawn Mendes ever really becomes his own artist to some degree, whether he is someone who is differentiated to some to as an artist in his style and musical content and lyrics. The answer is, I would say, not really, but he's a fresh face. He's attractive, and he is young, and he's just appealing. I think partly perhaps because of his looks, but it's also he also sings pretty decently. He's a pretty good singer. He has a nice smooth falsetto that is pretty nice to the ears to some degree, I guess. But I'm listening to the album. I was enjoying it as much as I can enjoy pop music, and halfway through the album, I was just exhausted. Like, I loved it. I was like in love with it, but I was trying my best to enjoy the first half, and then it just kept going on and on with the song sounding very similar to each other, which is not bad in any sense of the thing, but just not my kind of stuff, I guess. I wanted more experimentation. And there are pop musicians who do experiment, but I guess Shawn Mendes, with his Vine audience and with who he is, isn't really part of that. But it's okay. I like the album. I thought it was very incredibly mastered and mixed. Some of the songs, In My Blood, I thought was catchy, I guess. Lost in Japan, I think, was okay. Nervous, the duet with Julia Michaels reminded me of some kind of Jason Mraz, Kobe Calais, I don't know how to say her name, kind of thing. Particular Taste, again, is quite catchy, although it reminds me of that Selena Gomez song. Yeah, I mean, it sucks because one of the songs he features Khalid, who is kind of like him as well, except he sings more distinctly. But anyway, that's what I thought about Shawn Mendes' album. And it's about to rain quite hard here. But anyway, that's what I thought about it. I thought it was pretty good for what I expected, and give a lot of props to the engineers and record mixers and all this stuff because they're pretty great.